If you're sitting at your desk right now wondering whether the next laptop you buy will actually survive a night of Fortnite, a marathon of streaming, and still sit comfortably on a cramped coffee table, you're not alone. Most people want something that's reliable, easy to live with, and worth the money, not just a sheet of specs that looks impressive on paper. I've spent the last few days digging into the Legion 5i's real-world performance, reading forums, and watching a handful of owners explain what it's like to keep this machine on all day. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The question is, does the Lenovo Legion 5i actually deliver on the promises, or will it end up gathering dust because a better-fitted option was waiting on the sidelines? What makes a gaming laptop feel right for everyday use is how the pieces fit together when you're actually trying to do something. The 15.1-inch WQXGA OLED panel, for example, shines bright at 1000 nits peak, but that also means you'll notice the glare on a sunny windowsill faster than on a matte screen. In my tests, setting the brightness to a moderate level gave a crisp image for both dark shooters and bright open-world titles, but when you move the laptop to a well-lit kitchen, the glossy finish reflected enough to make colors look blown out. That's a trade-off you have to accept if you love the vividness of OLED and are okay with a bit of glare. The centerpiece of the machine is the Intel Core Ultra 9275HX, a 24-core beast with a turbo boost up to 5.4 GHz. On paper, that sounds like overkill for anyone who isn't a professional content creator, and indeed, you'll see the most benefit when you're running a game that can use both the performance and efficiency cores, titles like Cyberpunk 2077 or an 8-player Minecraft server. In practice, loading times are blisteringly fast, a fresh install of the game boots in under 20 seconds, and level transitions feel almost seamless. However, you'll notice the CPU fan ramp up a notch after about an hour of continuous heavy load. The fan noise is audible, but it's a high-pitched whine rather than a loud grind, so it's tolerable if you're using headphones, but not ideal for a quiet co-working space. Graphics are handled by an RTX 5070 with 8GB of GDDR7 memory. The card sits at a 115W TGP, which is a sweet spot between power draw and performance for a 15-inch chassis. In real-world testing, I could push Shadow of the Tomb Raider to 144 frames per second at 1440p with ultra settings, and the laptop kept the temperature hovering around 78°C. That's impressive for a notebook, but the 8GB VRAM limit becomes noticeable when you enable DLSS-enhanced 4K modes in games that demand more texture memory. If you plan to stream at 1080p while gaming, the card handles it without dropping frames, but pushing beyond that, say, a 4K stream with high bitrate will cause occasional stutters. Memory and storage are where the Legion really leans into future-proofing. The 32GB DDR55600 RAM ensures you won't run out of headroom even when you have dozens of Chrome tabs open alongside a game. The 1TB PCIe 4.0 SSD is swift, applications launch in fractions of a second, and the drive stays cool under load. Because the laptop uses a 2242 size M.2 slot, you're limited to the smaller form factor SSD, which means you can't simply swap in a larger 2.5-inch drive without an adapter. For most gamers, 1TB is enough for the OS, a few big games, and your media library, but if you keep a massive library of AAA titles, you'll likely need external storage, something the included 2TB flash drive can handle for backups, though it's not as fast as the internal SSD. One feature that gets a lot of chatter is the 5-megapixel front-facing camera with an electronic shutter. It's a step up from the grainy webcams you see on cheap laptops, and it does a decent job in well-lit rooms. In a dim bedroom, the image gets a little noisy, but it's still acceptable for Zoom calls or streaming facecam. If you're a content creator who needs a reliable webcam without buying an external device, this built-in solution saves desk space. Connectivity is fairly generous. 2 USB-A ports for your mouse and headset, a third always-in USB-A that can charge a phone while you game, and a USB-C port that supports up to 100W power delivery. In practice, I could plug the laptop into a 65W charger while the device was under load and still see the battery stay around 85% after an hour of gaming. The trade-off is that there is no HDMI 2.1 port. You have to rely on a USB-C to HDMI adapter for external monitor setups, which adds an extra cable and potential points of failure. Who should buy the Legion 5i? If you're a serious gamer or a creative professional who wants a portable powerhouse that can handle high refresh rate titles at 1440p without resorting to external cooling, this laptop checks most of those boxes. The combination of a